Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young. I'm one of your feminine, masculine hosts. Joining me as always is our other feminine and masculine host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the
You
crack?
sure got creative with those
You know,
those words today.
here's what I'll say. I was researching it, I was looking at other options, and I was like, all of this is so potentially inflammatory. I'm just gonna go with the duality that exists
Yeah,
within all of us. That is also
it's
the theme
true.
of
It's
this week's
true.
episode.
I just
So,
have to point out for those who can't see this, Andy's wearing a shirt, but I can only see the top part, and it says, "Yeah, I'm into BDSM. Beautiful dogs surrounding me." Okay, thank you. I just needed to know what was beyond that. Uh,
it's got lots of lovely pictures of
so
dogs on it as
and there's like,
well.
yeah, all these cute little dogs. So just getting that out there for anyone who's watching.
Why he's
That's
wearing
what's
a
on the
yeah, I'm into
shirt. It's good.
BDSM shirt.
Um, so the my Super Bowl happened on Sunday,
Oh yeah,
the 97th
yeah.
Oscars.
And
Some
Nora
yeah,
ran into the end zone and scored multiple
yeah,
touchdowns.
four
Four.
or
Like,
some maybe more than that. And like the director who maybe was, I don't know. Really don't know anything, so I'm just gonna ramble and I can be wrong about everything because it's our show. But the maybe director writer, like
Sean Baker.
he's the only person that's ever won four awards for the same movie
Hell yeah.
at the well, obviously the one Oscars. So
My friend, because apparently he is from New Jersey, and my friend messaged me about this, and he goes, Sean Baker, but my boy from New Jersey, now has
yeah.
more Oscars than Scorsese and somebody else massive. And I was like, oh, okay, wow, okay, fair enough.
Yes. And
So yeah.
the musician Diane Warren,
Hmm.
she was up for her like 17th nomination
Okay.
and she still hasn't won.
Do you not win? That's
No. So I'm just
wow.
like, all you Oscars voters, please just give it to her.
Get your shit together.
Gene Hackman died
Yeah.
under weird
Is there any
circumstances.
more news on that, or is it still
So now they're like, oh, we identified the wrong dog. It's this other dog. Okay, so basically, here's what this is what would make sense because it makes no sense.
yeah.
Like he had a pacemaker, so they found out when his last like pacemaking blip was like 9 days before they were discovered. So what they think happened, this is what makes most sense to me based on everything happening. Uh, he had an episode with his pacemaker, fell over. She ran to get his heart pills in a rush and fell over and hit her head, and the pills went
Oh
everywhere.
no.
Yeah. And then their dog was in a crate, and the dog died of dehydration.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So
That's
it's
awful.
either because carbon monoxide isn't like there were no leaks. So it's either like that or like suicide. But
Yeah.
normally people who are doing um unaliving themselves together. Usually they're in bed, not like in two different parts
Yeah.
of the house. So I think it's just like a freak
That's awful.
thing. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I was very sad to hear it because he
I
is an
was
absolute
too.
legend. Yeah,
I
that's like really
know.
tragic.
Lex Luthor, man.
So true. The best. Yeah, that was yeah. I didn't know that's what the because I'd heard it was the first were saying there was suspicious circumstances, and then they're saying it might be, and there was a lot of conjecture, but yeah, yeah. Um, but did they make it into the in memoriam in?
He did actually.
Okay,
Morgan
that's good.
Freeman came out and was gave him like his own. Normally they just do like
Yeah,
people
pictures of
died
them.
and it's sad, and they did, but he actually came out and talked about what
Okay,
it was like to
good.
work with him and all of that. And if you haven't ever watched, I think it's called The Conversation
Yes.
from like
I
the
don't know that I
70s.
have seen that.
It's
Yeah.
really
It's
good.
supposed
I
to
mean, it's
be
like so good.
it's been on my list for years. Yeah, I must check it out. I've heard it's fantastic. Um
It's like, yeah, it's he plays a really good cop. And
Yeah.
it's some things happen in that movie where I still think about it and I'm just like, in the words of Keanu Reeves, whoa.
Yeah. Um, well, indeed. I
What's up with you?
so I was on a similar track. I went hashtag got brutal. I went to see the Brutalist on Friday
What
night.
do you think? Did he deserve his 5 minute and 37-second speech?
Oh my Lord. So okay. I don't think it justified its length, honestly, but I think there was a
Yeah,
lot of fantastic stuff in there and some really powerful cinema. And there was times when I was just locked onto the screen, but by the end I was like, all right, let's wrap it up here, you know. But like yeah, it's also because we like me and my friend were like kind of ragging on it in a way because like it's really like unsubtle in a lot of ways. Like one of the first images is did you see it?
not yet.
Okay, so one of the
I'm
first
waiting for it to come out like as a rental
I don't
and or free.
yeah, no, that's smart. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend. Anyway, sure, I'll finish my thought before I give you the maximum thoughts on the film. So early on, there is an image, and it is of the Statue of Liberty, but it's upside down, right? The American dream corrupted, in such a like unsubtle, like it's just like clanging, clang, everything's terrible. Like it is purely like a ain't
Bring out your
capitalism
dead.
awful, and I think there's some really good stuff in there, but there's some really kind of obvious clunky stuff. Maybe it just didn't work for me, but I think I'm glad I saw it, and I'm glad I saw it in the cinema. But like, I don't know that I would be telling you you need to like go out of your way to check it out. It's just it's 4 hours, like basically with intermission and stuff. So it's like decide for yourself whether you want to put that invest that time into it or not. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gutted I didn't see Anora in the movies though, but like I'm going to make an effort to watch it over the next few weeks because I was really sad I missed it. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of glad it won tons of awards. Like, I mean, I saw people talking about it and lead up to the Oscars and was like, "There's no way I'll win an Oscar because it's too good of a movie," which is such a great kind of like criticism of like what sort of movies receive rewards.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, like there wasn't like some years I'm just like I I love the Oscars so freaking much. And
Yeah,
it's happy for the most part when people aren't hitting each other. Uh, you
yeah,
know, just watching people really like bare their souls and like, the speeches are always so kind and people cry and I just, it's nice. It's just a nice evening
yeah.
to wear a ball gown. But
Hell yeah.
or your pajamas. But
Yes.
like I don't really feel like any of the pictures for Best Picture were like worthy of Best Picture.
Interesting. Would you have had
Yeah,
another one that you would have?
not necessarily,
They said
but
that. Yeah,
I just kind of like everyone, even like, yeah, even Honora, I was kind of like, okay, really?
yeah. Okay, it's good to
Yeah,
know. Like,
yeah,
I think the other side was kind of a weird year for movies, but I suppose it's like not super long after the writing strike and stuff. So I guess that has
exactly.
caused a fairly
That's probably true.
chaotic, year in movies. That was 2023, the writer's strike, or was it 24?
It
Can't
was like
remember.
it spanned to over, I think it spanned over like
I
it was 2023 into
I think you're
2024.
right. Yeah, yeah. So I'm not surprised if that has had a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the other thing I did was I took shrooms the first time in ages at the
How'd it
weekend. It
go?
was great. Yeah, I loved it, man. It was fantastic. Took some shrooms, built some Lego. Good
Did you?
times. Yeah.
Nice.
Um,
I like spin art.
ooh, that's a nice
Yeah, you can
idea.
get like a spin art kit for like $12.
Okay.
Endless fun.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I also had some coloring books and stuff like that as well. But yeah, it was good times. Yeah, so shrooms everybody. Highly recommend. Definitely worth checking out.
I can't do them. Like
Yeah, you
they're
said.
not they're not my medicine, but that's okay. I'll just
No,
be
exactly.
jealous.
Yeah. I think that, and I'm sure I've spoken about this before, but like they just kind of quiet down my brain grandma's like it's just that voice is just gone, and I really kind of appreciate that because it's otherwise it's ceaseless.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, so it was nice. Yeah, it's just a reminder, like any drug, I hate almost exclusively across the board, any ones I've tried, I hate the process of actually taking them, but I tend to like the effects afterwards by and large. I think taking them is rough regardless.
For me, it's the other way around.
Really?
Yeah. I'm always like, yeah, this is awesome. Doing something slightly nefarious.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
Woo!
I have to be in this space for like 8 to whatever hours. Like, really? I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just want to be done.
Um, yeah, I can understand that. Like, I mean, I suppose by and large, with the ones I've done, I'm kind of like good at. I rarely take into so much that I'm kind of like, oh no, what have I done? And if I'm ever feeling like wonky a little bit, I just kind of I really like that's where yoga's been so helpful. I just kind of dial back into my breath, and it really kind of helps me through it. But
Mhm.
anyway, um, okay, I
So
think that
fun.
it is. So it was great. It was nice today. So that's the crack with me. Do you have any current for us this week?
Not this week. Do you?
I have a t-shirt, but you spoiled
I
spoiled it
know.
already.
I'm good at that. Sorry.
It's fine. Um, yeah, I have been like I had my eye on this t-shirt for a long time, and yeah. Um,
It was
am
it
I
was
gonna reveal this information? Yeah, okay, so my girlfriend got it for me. Dun dun
da-da.
dun.
Andy's got a
And he's got a
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
I'm so excited for you.
Thanks. So
And
yeah,
listeners, I knew before you.
yeah, so in your face, listeners. We're really joking. We love you really.
Yep. Yep.
Um, okay, so that's it. That's my current. So yeah, it is the I love BDSM. It's official, and by BDSM I mean beautiful dogs surrounding me. I actually have two additional dogs in the house currently as well, so I literally am surrounded by beautiful dogs currently.
You
So it's been
are.
nice. Though one of the dogs, so Sasha has slowed down. And I think I've told you this before. And these other two dogs are a bit younger. They need slightly longer walks. So at the weekend, I was like, here's what I'm going to do. Take Sasha out for a quick walk, 20 minutes. That's all she kind of really needs or can manage these days. I'll come back. I'll take the other two dogs out. In the time, so offended was one of the dogs that I took Sasha out without them. I came back. Again, 15 minutes. She had taken a packet of dog tablets off the counter, like in a plastic container, forced the lid off, eaten the remainder of the tablets, out 30 tablets. Fortunately, they were arthritis tablets, and I looked into it, and you can't overdose on them, but it may give her some stomach problems. And shit in my room. The asshole. So there,
Wow.
right? And like she was
That's
like,
like extreme revenge.
right? She was furious.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
and I mean, like she felt so when I arrived, I think she was kind of like, "Oh my God, I thought you were never coming back, and now I have to face the music."
Did she
Uh,
try and act normal, like nothing had
no, no,
happened?
no.
Okay.
She was like, "Oh no, what have I done?" And like, I'm crawling around, like, I get all her bombs, just like walking around, pause, pause, pause. It's like, "Oh no." It was very funny. So like, yeah, it was fine. It was not that bad of a cleanup, but it was kind of
Yeah.
like, I can't believe how hardcore you have went in like this short a period of time.
Just like, yeah, like if you had a little camera and just like watching this dog just go insane in 15 minutes.
Kind of wish I had seen it, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Me too.
So yeah. So
Mhm.
anyway. So that's I did get a little bit of just out of a t-shirt there in the what's a current section, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
sweet.
yep, yep.
Perfect.
You
Okay.
got it in there.
Yes. So
Yes.
um yes, let's get on to this week's topic, which is masculine. No, masculine, feminine, feminine, masculine. How have I written it? Let's go
Mm,
feminine, masculine, right? Because it's the version of it that's more likely to upset people.
right. How dare you let the
What?
feminine. Right.
Feminine first.
Uh,
I mean, like it because it is something, and this is a topic that has been on our like long list for a
yeah.
while, just in terms of
Yep.
topics, and it's something that I think about a lot, just because I have never felt, and I think in our mental health episodes I've went into this, I've never felt particularly connected to that sort of common idea of masculinity. I have in a lot of like recent years had people tell me that I have more of a feminine energy, and I think that's probably true. And I
Mhm.
think that that is, but I think it's really interesting to think about because I I take that as a compliment, but I think a lot of guys would take that as a grave insult, you know.
Mhm.
So I think it's a ripe topic for discussion.
Yeah, I started with the definitions, masculine definition pertaining to or character to or characteristics of a man or men, masculine attire, having qualities traditionally ascribed to men as strength and boldness. Feminine definition, having qualities or appearances considered to be typical of women, connected to
Mhm.
women. But I feel like it's way deeper than that.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you start looking into like spirituality,
Yeah.
which we can get into. But
It's
uh,
I think it's like I like so many of these things and so many of these concrete, you know, concepts or definitions is become so
mhm,
mutated over the
mhm,
years to mean a variety of different things, you know,
I
like
agree. I was surprised that and I was like, there must be like a deeper definition, but there really wasn't,
yeah,
you
because
know.
like it
So,
has been, you know, weaponized, I think, as a tool for like kind of manipulation, you know, in terms of, you know, undermining guys by questioning their masculinity and then going, hey friend, don't worry about it. I've got a system that you can take up and it'll blah blah blah. Like I think that Andrew Tate is a really good example of somebody who has like do you know who that is? I hope you
I
don't.
do, but I don't know like why everyone's mad that he's coming back to America.
You know, that's great and never find out. He is just a so he's like a men's rights activist type dude. He was like an
Oh
online
wow.
influencer, but like he had credible accusations of him being a sex
I've heard
trafficker and
I've
blah
heard
blah
that.
blah. He's just a
Okay.
fucking monster. But like he is like a somebody who kind of brand is that he's preyed on young men and went like, you know, you're in the Matrix, but you know, why not step into my Matrix? You know, not those words obviously, but like
And pay me.
I'll show you the
Subscribe to my
truth.
channel.
Yes, exactly. And like he has like branded himself as a misogynist and like I proudly call myself a misogynist. That's sort of like fucking moron. So yeah, he's the worst and learn nothing about him. Stay as ignorant as possible about him. Like he's just not worth it.
Yeah. I just saw that that he's been allowed into the United States
Yeah,
along with his brother. And I was like, and apparently I'm trying to, yeah, the news.
yeah.
So I think too, um, I wanted to just like ask, we've talked about cultures and like, would you say like your culture is more masculine or feminine?
Oh, definitely
But
masculine.
but like, then I think about like the connections, the Celtic connections, right, that you have
Yeah,
with the earth and the fairies and all of that. And I feel like when I think of, the planet Mother Earth, I feel like that's more of a feminine type energy.
yes. But I would say that is so marginalized, you know?
Is
Like,
it?
yes.
Okay.
And I mean, it is very
So
much,
sad.
it is 100%. And, you know, I'd say a lot of guys who would like strictly, you know, define themselves as very masculine would think that's a load of like, would dismiss that as that's a load of nonsense, et cetera, you know. Um, but like
I
sorry,
I think, well, our culture is, well,
yeah,
had shifted in a direction and, long time coming, where, the power paradigm had changed and more women or uh, the feminine had become more prevalent.
yeah,
Um, I guess much to the chagrin of people like Andrew Tate.
yeah.
And now, the pendulum is swinging very quickly in the other direction.
Like I think it's so true, and it's horrible in a lot of ways because, but like it's something that I saw. I can't even remember what it was, whether it was an article or something like that, talking about these patterns. Whenever there is any real progress made, or you tend to find these really horrible shifts back. You know, like the progress still seems to be there, but the kind of like really reactionary, kind of fear-based crowd really swings things in the other direction for a big sort of chunk of time. But like
Mhm.
I feel like, talking about guys like that, I feel I don't know how much they're connected to that idea of masculinity as much as they are con men who are using that concept as a way to like extract money out of people,
I agree.
by and
Like I don't,
large.
it's with a lot of what's happening in the world right now, I don't get the sense that people necessarily believe what their actions are. Like, I don't think they're believing in the things that they're doing and the things that they're saying necessarily. They just
I
want the
agree.
power,
Yeah,
and power is a, it's a powerful drug.
it's true. And I think that,
It's probably one of the most powerful drugs
yeah,
that there is out there.
I think that like they don't really care how they get there a lot of the time because that is the end goal and that is how they kind of want to define themselves, I think, or at least want to, the outer world to see them as powerful, you
Yeah,
know, mostly men. I was going to say men. I was like, it is mostly men, by and large. But
yeah.
yeah.
So, do you have like first memories of learning about gender?
That's a good question. I don't think so, really. Like, I I guess it was probably in, high school or, say we don't have middle school and stuff like that. So when I was about like 12, 13, once I recall like being in high school and that's starting to be more important. Like it started to be, but appear on my radar. Like beyond, before that, I was more interested in, reading books about hobbits and things like that. I mean, like that's still primarily what I'm interested in, but that's
Mhm,
whereas like then I started to realize a bit more about that. I started to see, especially the connection between that and sports and me not really being feeling particularly sporty or
mhm,
connected to that world and feeling like, you know, I've got, a little like less than because I wasn't interested in those things. So yeah, probably
mhm,
high school.
mhm.
What about
I think
you?
it's probably the same for me, maybe middle school, but maybe high school. So, teens, and it was
Yeah.
more like, we I went to like an all-American school,
Hmm.
cheerleaders, football players, and then like, what's in between those two.
Yeah.
Um, and I really didn't I wanted to be invisible.
Hmm.
And so I remember like dressing in a way that was like very androgynous, like corduroy baggy pants and like Converse sneakers and,
Yeah.
just like trying to be as invisible as possible because I didn't want to subscribe basically to that and like blow out my hair and, you know, uh understand how to like wear makeup. I just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
And it kind of bothered me that my peers were.
Yeah.
Like, what's that about?
And I suppose it is like really connected to, you know, the idea of normality or normalcy or like, fitting in. It's just kind of being the same as everybody else. So, and in that regard, there are pretty clear concepts of what femininity is and masculinity is. So I suppose it becomes easier to kind of like dial into those things and then kind of like craft a bit of an identity out of that as well.
I totally agree. Do you find that like you're expected to behave a certain way as an adult because of your
Um,
gender?
I think so. I think I have come to care a lot less about it as I kind of go on. And I think that like, one of the advantages I have had and one of the reasons why I think people are drawn to me is that like I am not that in a lot of ways, and I have like really kind of rejected a lot of the stuff that because like I find the trappings of masculinity as I understand them and as I have experienced them to be like deeply isolating. I don't need that. Like my brain does a good enough job of that by itself. So I definitely have, but like I kind of am also like in terms of the really kind of broad idea of what masculinity is, like even though, as I say, think I find myself to be more of a more feminine energy in that I'm emotional, Like
Mhm.
I, really kind of struggle with a lot of things. Um, but like I am strong, I am like organized, I can be there for people, which I think are other sort of kind of masculine traits. But like I think a lot of those things for me are rooted in that more feminine energy, to be honest.
Mhm.
So I think it's just been about finding that balance as best I can, and a lot of that is just me, you know, avoiding talking to people all the time, you know.
I'm gonna go stand over the corner.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. I don't
Wait for
need
someone
to.
to come and talk to me.
Yeah.
And hopefully they
And
don't.
hopefully they don't. Yeah. And if they do, I'm like, I'll grunt at them.
Yeah, I think like I I live in a more conservative area,
Mhm.
so there's definitely, an expectation, but I think the way I like to think about it is like in my marriage,
Yeah.
what am I expected to be? What norms am I expected to uphold? And like, do I give a shit? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
Like I don't grocery shop, I don't cook. We
Yeah.
split things up pretty evenly. And like Mike doesn't really give a shit about gender norms
Yeah.
or probably doesn't even think about gender generally.
No, which is great.
I know. Isn't he lucky?
Yes.
Uh, but I can, you know, I can see the gender norms playing out in a very like stereotypical way. And I've actually had a mom that was talking to me and she was like, you know what, I really just want, I just want to be, and this is like random mom up at the pickup gate. She's like, I really just want to be a trad wife. And I was like, okay.
Fascinating.
And so for those who don't know, trad wives are women who decide that they want to go back to the traditional ways of being in a relationship and being a parent, and they're the ones that are cooking and cleaning and caretaking of children, and the man, the husband, has the decision making power and all of that kind of thing. Not to say that that's how it works in every trad relationship, but it's a it's a hashtag.
True. It's true. And it's like, and people like these nice, clean ideas. I mean, even if they're
Yes.
completely full of shit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's like we cook our own, we butcher our own livestock and grow our own plants, and it's like homesteading, but traditional roles.
Like I've seen the like mutation of that a little bit because there was a lady who got like mocked because she was like my kids want peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch and then she basically made bread from scratch,
No,
made peanut butter from scratch, made jam from
no.
scratch, and it was like everybody's like fuck you. The only reason you can do this is your husband is like a multi-millionaire, and like you've got like maids looking after your kids, so you actually have time to like do all this stuff from scratch and like film your wee videos and shit like that. It's
Yeah,
such a lie.
yeah.
If you were actually a trad wife, you would not have time to like create all this stuff from scratch. It would just be virtually impossible. You would need like, what are your kids doing, in that time?
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah,
So, um, is so we've got a lot of gender fluidity happening where people are deciding that they're non-binary.
yeah,
Um, you're they've created, well, that's all been undone since the new president came in,
yeah,
but that doesn't mean these people go away or these
yeah,
conversations go away. Is that something that happens in Northern Ireland? Like, do
yeah.
people have more like, is fluidity around gender norms more acceptable?
Uh, I don't know that I would say that. I think there's still a lot of ignorance. I mean, we have as many, I think we really are quite similar to the US in so many ways. So like there definitely is that. And I know people who have changed pronouns and stuff like that, or requested different pronouns. I have had friends who like, well, friends of friends who have transitioned and things like that. So it definitely does happen. Um, but like, you know, we're still like chock full of ignorant fucking idiots, like, so I mean it's still a tough it's still a tough road to follow, I think, in this country, you know. Like we haven't fortunately went back to the oh, there's only two genders sort of shit, you know. I mean, but it's just the usual. It really pisses me off because it's just like, oh, things are changing. Yes, like they always do. I don't like it. Tough shit. You know, you'll have to learn. That's the way it is. Because like you say, you know, putting in these new or rolling back laws doesn't change the reality. It just kind of like makes other people's lives more difficult. For what reason, you know?
Hmm.
So yeah, uh, I don't think we're doing great here, but it does happen for sure.
Okay. Do you think religion plays a role in all of this?
Yeah, but
Or
like
culture and religion?
I think it does. But I um like it's one of these things, and I have thought, you know, I think I talked to you a bit about it before. There was a book I read years ago, and it was called Sex and Punishment, and it was about how um sex has been used throughout the years in both like problematic ways, but also how the differences in the sexes and how, you know, back in, you know, several thousand years ago, women were like, our daughters specifically were seen as like trading items basically between like rich sort of businessmen. But then other really fascinating things that like in the 17, 1800s, there were same-sex marriages, and it was just like, well, whatever. If you people want to live together, they live together. But these things become politicized, especially as a way to like divide people, because you know, if you divide people, you can like, you know, go, okay, you know, this is a bad person, come to my thing, but while you're coming to my thing, just drop a donation at the door. You know, there's money to be made, sadly, from dividing people. So,
Hmm.
you know, the same way that abortion wasn't really a thing that the church cared about that much, really. I mean, it was there, but it was a really minor thing until the like 60s or 70s. As soon as they see that it's drawing eyes and
Yes.
therefore get money in pockets, it
Yes,
changes the game altogether. So
that's true.
I think that like religion, certainly modern religion, definitely is a factor, but you know, I think it's really insincere, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm in a
And
ranty mood today.
oh, I love it. Go, go, go. Get it all out.
Yeah,
It's the shirt.
that
It's your
is a shirt.
BDSM shirt. Uh,
It's true.
you know, I do like to think about other cultures and like how they, recognize genders
Yeah,
and, you know, it's just fascinating when you go down that wormhole of the fact that there are cultures that have several different types of genders that expounds on or is different than just the male, female, masculine,
yeah,
feminine. Um, and you look back at other like civilizations that maybe have like gone the way of the dodo bird, but you can tell that they were a lot more fluid in the way that they lived their
yeah,
lives. And so it's like back to we know nothing. Like
yes.
we don't.
But like, and it's just, you know, that again, money's the root of all evil and all these things, and like, there's probably made from dividing people, and it's just such a shame because, you know, life's tough enough, and if people are in a position where they want to identify a different way or they want to think about themselves in a different way, that shouldn't be a big deal, and it really is, you know.
I was um did I talk to you about passports and gender yet?
No,
So did you ever watch Euphoria?
I didn't, but I keep meaning to, but no,
I know
I haven't seen it.
it's hard. It's hard to watch. It's
I've heard
hard
it
to
is,
watch.
yeah, that's
It's
what has
like
put me off.
I normally can rewatch anything and I cannot rewatch Euphoria.
Yeah,
It is so um it just makes me feel so uncomfortable and sad and like I care about the characters and it's just like you can just see them going like down a
yeah,
path and you're like, don't go down. It's like
yeah,
watching a horror movie, but they're nice high school students.
yeah. So
But
yeah, I
one of
suppose that
the
realness makes it feel even more grim though, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But one of the actresses is a transgender actor,
Okay,
and she was taking hormones in puberty, so her voice didn't change
okay.
or drop octaves, and she's female. But her birth certificate says male.
Hmm.
And so she sent in her um, passport stuff to get her passport renewed. And now, usually they would, um, there's a box that you check, for which pronoun you want to go by. And there's male, female, and X, which, you know, is the catch-all for everything else.
Yeah.
X has been removed, and this actress was like, on my passport, it now says I'm male because they went off the birth certificate, and so this is happening in our country now.
That sucks. And
Yeah.
to uh to whose benefit? Like it's just absolutely wild, you know. Awful, really awful.
Mhm.
Um yeah, I have thought a lot about certainly in my life, going through life, there are and I want to know if you to get your thoughts on this. Like, have you encountered women who you would describe as having like a masculine energy?
Totally.
I think that and it's interesting to me because I feel like it's that energy, and it's not just, it's that really kind of intense masculine energy that in me, in men or women, that I
Mhm.
really am just kind of like, you're not for me.
Mhm. It's kind
uh,
of like, I think, at the end of the day, like we're a little bit of everything.
yes, I agree.
And when you lean too hard in one direction, and maybe that's just who they
That's
are as people, but I wonder if like culture plays into that. I absolutely do.
that's true. And I think that it's also kind of like what I was saying earlier about, this idea of like finding identity and finding an idea of who you are. But it feels to me like when people do lean into it too hard one way or another, it is a smokescreen. It's a way to stop people from getting too close.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think I generally, I mean, I have both masculine and feminine energy. I
Hmm.
probably have more masculine energy than other people, like I
Hmm.
don't go on YouTube looking for makeup tutorials. I don't, you know, I hate wearing dresses. I've
Sure.
always hated wearing dresses, but I love to play Barbies and I'm
Yeah.
40 something
Yeah.
years old, right? But I also love, you know, working on cars and
Yeah.
doing that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty I also, you know, came from a family where jokingly my father would, I'd be like, "What do you want for your birthday?" And he would be like, "I would like sons." So
Wow.
I think I was almost raised by my male figure raised me to know how to change a tire
Sure.
and know how to change my oil and know how to survive in life without,
Yes,
needing that stereotypical man, because like I've got the skills already, bitches
it's true.
and gents. So
Yeah,
I'm proud of that actually. Um,
absolutely. As you
but I
should
also
be.
love hugging and crying and
Yes.
talking about feelings.
Which is also all really important, and I mean, but it's also kind of like, you know, that it's also knowing that it's okay to like have whatever particular set of skills you have, because I there's a ton of stuff, I don't know that I've ever changed a tire. I can change oil. I don't know a lot of stuff. I'm not very handy around the house. I do know stuff
You're
about
not handy Andy?
I'm not handy
Sorry.
Andy, no.
Sorry.
Well, it depends. And but I'm good with computers. I can do some electrical stuff. Like there are skills that I do have and skills that I don't have, and I'm like, who cares?
That's
I
okay.
don't. It's fine. But I've definitely lent more into the things that I really love, just because I love food, or things like cooking and baking, which are
Yeah.
more traditionally feminist sort of pastimes. But it's ludicrous because it's like, if something catches your interest, and if something like, sparks a bit of joy, a bit of passion inside of you, like, pursue it regardless. It just it really shouldn't matter. And it's such a shame that like people, I think, find things that really kind of like light them up and then feel like they can't pursue them because it's like not appropriate for their gender or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy to
It's
me.
like when you hear like they're an astronaut and it's a woman, and
Yeah,
you're like, ah, right.
okay.
Uh-huh.
And then
And
like
she like
a
I
woman
remember,
astronaut.
oh no, right, I just read an article, I think it was like the 1967 Boston Marathon, where a woman was like, I would like to enter the race.
Yes,
And they were like, you cannot, you're a woman. And actually running is really bad for women,
yes.
right? And so she like hid behind a bush and they said go, and she ran
And she was
when
like,
all of
have protesters throwing stuff and
there
things at
were
her.
some protesters, but the majority of the runners on the track with her were like not track road, I don't know, Boston
Sure.
roads, but I know nothing. But she like came in the top like 20, you know,
That rocks.
percentile. Yeah, and so I think, that's the stuff that has to continue happening. I was also thinking, because right now my country is so focused on gender,
Hmm.
um, like what would the world look like if they're without gender?
Yeah.
Like what if like what if
It's
that
the
happened? The worst case scenario.
it always makes me think all this is not particularly appropriate, but it just always makes me laugh, which is the Simpsons episode where somebody says to Lionel Hutz, can you imagine a world or Lionel Hutz says to somebody else, can you imagine a world without lawyers? And it's just people around the
Like,
world hand in
yes,
hand singing
yes.
songs. And it cuts back to him and he's like, "Ooh."
I do know exactly what you're talking about.
So yes, it would be glorious and wonderful. Like all of these things are traps, and all of these things are like a way to like commodify people and put people in boxes and stuff. For probably very little value to the individual, but a lot of value to the people who are trying to like push us around and control us and so on and
Mhm,
so forth.
mhm.
Fight the power.
I was watching Iron Man
Yeah.
the other day, and who's the bassist for Rage Against the Machine?
Oh, Tom Morello.
Tom Morello is like in the first few like scenes of Iron Man
Okay, is
1.
he?
Yes, I was like, that's Tom Morello. Like it totally is. I know
Oh,
it for sure.
interesting.
I know. So watch it again.
Okay.
So then okay, so I was thinking about like masculine and feminine energy,
Mm-hmm.
as in like spiritual energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the little Venn diagram of feminine energy is like being mode, receiving, your intuitive mind. It's more internal, your receptive fluid, allowing, feeling, empathic, vulnerable, creative. The imbalance in that area would be powerless, manipulative, needy, oversensitive, and codependent. Ooh, I love good codependency.
Oh yeah.
Then the masculine side of the Venn diagram is doing mode, giving, logical mind, external. They're protective, focused, achieving, planning, confident, goal-oriented, and driven. The imbalance on that side is aggressive, confrontational, controlling, micromanaging, and competitive. So like finding the balance between those two, right? In
Yes.
that middle area. Um, and then, and I would say like, there's obviously positives and negatives to both. I think being aware of those sides of ourselves will
Yep.
help us to be, better to ourselves and better to the world around us.
Mm-hmm.
And like only focusing on one side of that part of ourselves and the energy that that gives out is bad, right?
Agreed.
It's it doesn't serve the community, it doesn't serve the greater good.
Nope.
So I would just like to ask people to focus a little more on the things that don't ring true to you. When you're like, oh
Yes.
yeah, that's me. Like, well, then focus on some of those other things, and that will make the world a better place.
Yes. I like that a lot. I mean, just people will reject that, but like let them. they'll do their
I
own
know.
thing. And like
I know.
if those people are trying to like wash you from doing like stop you from doing something that you love, just don't think maybe those people aren't people you need in your life. If that's an option, at least anyway.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's like I think I've you're talking about one of the negative aspects of masculinity being competition, and competition is something I think about a lot because like I see it in so many people that I know, and it's like there are things I am competitive about, but I think I mostly see it as a negative thing. I can see how competition was maybe helpful for us as a species, in terms of us, growing and expanding and doing all of the incredible things that we've done as a species. But like,
And then we created dodgeball.
yes, yeah. Hey, like that's a pinnacle. There's no notes. The perfect sport, the perfect
No notes.
the perfect competitive endeavor. Um, and like I think so, but it's just kind of like it feels like it's another thing that has become completely mutated, completely used as a way to control people. I find especially, I mean, you just get it. I kind of associate it with a soccer or football thing here, whereas like the
Mhm.
competition between teams and between fans is ferocious and legitimately dangerous. And
Yes.
I can't wrap my head around that. You know what I mean?
It can be here too.
Yeah, I know that with some of the like I remember
Yeah.
seeing, but I remember like seeing I saw pictures from the I'm told you can't say this. It's like quite litigious to say the name of the event that happened a few weeks ago that features American football, so I won't say it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
but I saw that whenever the Eagles won, that Philadelphians were like walking around their city destroying it, and I'm like,
Yes. Yes.
what?
Yes.
What? I don't
Yes.
understand.
I don't
Uh,
either. I
so
don't either.
yeah, it's weird, very weird to me. Um, so
I think it's
yeah,
because our culture doesn't really allow, the fighting between rival teams.
yes,
So they're just like, we got to get the energy out somehow. So we're going to beat up our city. It's weird. I saw that too, and I was like, huh, okay. I'm not surprised because it happens all the time.
so true. I know, but so wild to me, it really is.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Okay, so I have remember when we were talking about Conclave,
yeah,
the movie, and you were like, the ending, I didn't quite understand it.
yeah.
And I was like, we ran out of time, or I was like, I'll hold on to this thought for something else. Okay, so I'm gonna break the ending down for people.
Okay.
They choose the Pope.
Yes. So before we say this, this is a
Yes.
spoiler, but I really
Spoiler
don't I
alert.
do not think it ruins the film. I think what's great about the film is the
The
process. But
process.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Beth, go ahead.
Sorry. You're right. Sorry. I set that up.
I was just thinking because we'll get people shooting at us
Yeah,
otherwise.
no, 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 no. So basically, yeah, they end up choosing the Pope, and then they discover information about how this new Pope had gone to Switzerland to
Yeah.
get some sort of like surgery, and they weren't sure whether or not the surgery happened. Come to find out that the new Pope has is a
Is he I think he's her I think he has male and female sex organs,
male and
right?
fe male and female sex organs, but
Yeah.
the female sex organs were internal only.
Yeah.
So they didn't know that there was a uterus inside, because what was on the outside was all male.
Yeah.
But I think that that is a perfect representation that God, people say that God is the perfect balance of masculine and feminine.
Mm.
So I think that in this instance in this movie, that is a representation, like the Pope is a direct representation of God, and that's them
Ooh.
saying we got what we really need, which is the perfect balance of both in this new Pope.
I like that a lot.
Thank you. I thought of it with my own brain.
Brilliant, perfect, good for you. Congratulations.
No,
I'm not seeing her rapidly close down multiple tabs, everybody. She did. It came straight from her head.
I wasn't in the mind garden at
No, no,
all.
no, no, not at all. Yeah, that's fascinating and really kind of appropriate for our topic today. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's so, yeah, like I wasn't. it's just because I wasn't sure. I mean, I kind of understood the how serious it was considering how conservative a lot of the Catholic Church is, but I didn't really realize the full impact of what was going on there.
Mhm.
I think then that kind of like, because at the very end we see the main character kind of sitting there, but he has like stepped down as a bishop and become a minister, I believe, or
I
something
think
like that.
yes, yeah.
And how that so like because I understood that he was like going through a bit of a crisis in his faith,
Mhm.
but I guess this idea not only tested him, or this kind of result not only tested him, but also confirmed, uh, um, got him through that crisis of faith, at least anyway.
Mhm. And then at the very end, he asks the new pope, did the previous pope know this about you? And he said, yes, he did.
Mm,
So, and the previous pope had invited him, this new pope. No one had ever met him before. So it was the previous pope's hope that this new pope would become the new pope,
yes,
knowing this information.
he had seeded it. Yeah,
Yeah. So, which I liked
I
very
might need to
much.
watch Conclave again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
You
I
want to
did
watch
enjoy it.
the cute little turtles running around.
I do want to watch cute little turtles running around and all the kind of cute old bishops running around as well.
I know, right? Drinking too much booze
Yeah, yeah,
and yelling at each other.
getting into trouble with nuns.
Yeah, but I
Um,
would knowing like with that, mindset, yeah, just give it a rewatch.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, that's great. So do you have any other thoughts about our topic today before we move on? I feel like it's something I could talk about again a lot, but I feel like
Oh yeah.
I don't want to continue like ranting
I would just,
forever.
I love your ranting. It's my favorite thing. But I
Okay,
think that like masculine and feminine energy, I don't think it has anything to do with your gender.
I agree.
Like or your sexual preference. It's just like it's just like everything, it's just energy.
Yep.
So you do you,
Hmm.
you be you.
Embrace your own beautiful self,
Yeah.
always.
And and work on, finding the balance between the
Yep,
two.
yep. And get big, strong muscles. Ah, shit, my analogy's
Hmm.
off the
Right?
rails here.
And be vulnerable about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 exactly. But like tear phone book in two, but also have a cry about it afterwards. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I pulled it back, I think. Um, okay, I love it. Right, okay. So we move on to our last week section here, which is what's been bringing you joy this week.
Yes. So I've run out of TV shows to watch.
Oh,
I
I
tried Prime, I got bored. Severance is amazing.
did agree.
And then White Lotus is I really like season two.
Me
Season
too.
three is yeah, I'm
I have seen all three episodes so far. I'm enjoying it, but it's not quite there just yet. But I feel
mm,
like
mhm.
two took about 4 or 5 episodes till I was like really into it.
Yep. Same. And I think I'm gonna stop watching it, just bank it
Yeah, that's a good
so
idea.
I can binge it because I just cannot like wait weeks for it drives me insane.
I think the next episode is going to be pretty explosive, though. A lot of things seem to be coming to head in the next one, and I'm
Yes.
really excited about that.
Yes, me too. And I always love like not necessarily the hotel, but just seeing different cultures. And
Hmm.
I think it
Yes,
outside of the hotels and like the lavishness there, it does give you a sense of what it's like to live there.
I always like it when they actually do that, when they really make the effort. I think once it starts getting outside the hotels, it becomes a lot more interesting.
Mhm, mhm. So in an effort to find something to watch, I'm rewatching Arrested Development.
Beth,
Have you not
my
seen it?
I have seen Arrested Development, but my arms are crossed. Tell me about Arrested Development. I will explain to you why my arms are crossed in a second here.
Other than it being like the funniest show
It's
ever.
amazing. I agree completely. It's good to rewatch. So you've got nothing to watch,
Oh,
and
okay. All right.
you know why my arms are crossed?
Tell me, keep forgetting the name of it. What is
Shogun,
it?
Shogun. It's
Oh,
on
right.
Disney Plus.
All right, I'm gonna do it. That's
Okay.
what I'm gonna do.
Okay,
Doing
please.
that
Like,
tonight.
okay, thank again.
I
Like, it's
promise.
like
I
again,
promise.
maybe you, but
Why am
like,
I?
give it a
Yeah,
few episodes.
I
It's so good.
totally.
It's so
Okay.
good. I mean, maybe you'll not dig it, but like, I think it's worth
No, it won
trying
all the. We
anyway.
talked about this. Like
I
we
mean, like,
talked about
yeah,
this 4 times.
my favorite thing last year.
I'm writing it on my
Okay,
hand.
okay. The other one that I keep meaning to watch, other foreign language one, is on
Uh-huh.
Apple TV, which is Pachinko. I've heard is
That is supposed
wonderful.
to be really good. I
Yeah, and I
tried to
keep.
get into it, but then I just couldn't.
Have you
So
seen Bad Sisters as well on Apple TV? It's
no.
supposed to rock, and like I haven't watched any of it yet, but I think you would dig it based on what I've heard about it. It's like it's
Uh-huh.
supposed to be really fantastic. So that might be
Okay.
another one if you're looking for something a bit lighter than Shogun.
It's just I think I'm trying. I thought always like the trying to find something Mike will watch. I was like,
Yes.
did you like Nora? He's like, fuck no. I'm like, all right. So I think Shogun is a good idea because he loves those types of movies.
Yes,
I also was watching. Have you seen Two Broke Girls?
I have, but not for years.
Okay, I didn't know it existed at
Okay.
all,
Uh-huh.
so I started getting into that, and I just love that they're just like living in this tiny New York
Yeah.
apartment, and they have a horse in the backyard that's just always like poking his head or like moving around in the background. The writing is really good, so
Yeah, like I remember enjoying it, like because it was the time I think it was, programmed with, Big Bang Theory and things like that back in the
yep,
day. So I definitely would
yep,
have seen chunks of it.
yeah.
Love it. Um,
What about you?
so I think I talked to you about it last time I saw you. I finished A Prayer for One Meaning.
You finished
I
it? You
did. I
said you were
really,
almost done.
I was near almost done. So like I really enjoyed it. And I was trying to think back. So it's a book. I think we've talked about it before. It's a book by John Irving. Um, I have also read Cider House Rules and The World According to Garp. And so I was trying to think about it in regards of those, and it has been so long since I read them, I only remember them a little bit. But I found that it was slow to start. But I do like it because I feel like he really spends time with the characters, and the characters feel rounded in a way that a lot of, I think, other writers struggle with. So I
Mhm.
kind of really appreciated that. I really appreciated spending extended amounts of time in various parts of their lives. I think I really enjoyed it a lot more once they kind of got out of childhood a little bit more, and I
Yep.
started seeing things where things were heading a little bit. But I really loved it by the end, and I really thought the how it all came together, especially regarding the shot that they practiced throughout
Yes.
basically the entirety of the book, came together in the
Yes.
end as well.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
it was really fantastic. And again, he just writes believable, real characters in a way that I find other authors struggle to, at least for me anyway.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I've read, I would say probably 85% of his works.
Yeah.
And for me, A Prayer for Owen Meany, the other ones like there's a similar rhythm to them.
Yeah.
But Owen Meany feels different to me for some reason,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
I think because like I mean again, it's been so long since I've read the other books, but I feel like what is central to that book is the relationship between him. The protagonist is not Owen Meany, so it's about their relationship in a way that I think the other books weren't. I think the books really are much more about one particular character's experience in
Yes.
whatever the
Yes.
world is,
That's true.
whereas I think it's the nature of their friendship that really kind of changed it, at least in my memory. And
Hmm.
it's a such an interesting friendship, and again feels. It goes from essentially in the early the idea is that Owen Meany in the book is like tiny, like he's just a tiny guy, but he's got this really kind of deep, sort of booming voice. And
Hmm.
like in the very first chapter, basically, they talk about how he was so small that against his will, they would pick him up and just pass him around the classroom. And you're kind of like, oh, is this going to be like a sort of a sad tale? But it's actually quite a lovely tale about their friendship and how much he meant to this guy. And you know, I think at first you almost feel like you're going to feel sorry for Old Meany, but instead it kind of really you end up being a lot more sympathetic to the path that the kind of protagonist took in the book. So
Hmm.
very skillfully done, and yeah,
I'm
great
glad.
read.
I really appreciate you reading it too,
Yeah,
because I was like, you were
yeah,
here, and I'm like, read this book, and you were
yeah,
like, yeah, a lot of times people are like, okay, but you actually did it.
I
So I
did.
will watch Shogun because you've finished
Yeah, you
the
better.
Bulletproof. Good.
Um,
I'm glad you liked it.
I did. I did. Thank you for lending it to me, and thank you for recommending it to me. I'm like
Mhm.
struggling to see what's up next. I have a book on Irish fairy tales that I think I might start reading next because
Do
I've
it.
been
I want to know
so I think it's
everything.
the next one. Yeah, so and then I can we can do an Irish fairy tales episode soon as well. But yeah, um, okay. So I think we are at the end of our episode. Beth, could you tell everybody where they can find us, please?
You can find us at bendypodcast.com. And I just want to, we're just grateful for everyone that's leaving reviews and
Hmm.
for listening. We just appreciate you guys very much.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Yes.
everybody.
Heart eyes.
Hard
If
eyes.
I don't think I actually ever do heart eyes, but I am to our listeners.
Wow, quite the
Uh,
compliment for you all at home. All right, awesome. So, in that case, we've reached the end of our episode, and we'd like to remind you all to stay bendy.
My vocal fry is like on point today.
Yeah, I'm.
Welcome, everybody.
All right, we love you, everybody.
Love you. Bye.
Bye bye.